Hello and welcome to AfriDominion. I am Freeman Singiran Kabon. Thank you so much for tuning into our program today. And for those of you joining us for the very first time, welcome. We are so happy that you can find some time out of your busy schedule to join the program today. And this is your very first time, please be sure to subscribe to our content, especially those of you who consume it or who watch our program via online. We have several platforms that you can use, both public and private platforms that you can literally find and log into our program and follow the conversation as we go. We bring all our content in truth, love, and trust, so we make sure that we make no apologies about it. And above all, we always seek for you feedback and understanding. We also seek out an open conversation where we can literally have a frank and honest conversation. And with that in mind, we always let you know about direct contact so that you can get in touch with us, especially those of you guys who would like to have an open conversation. And with that in mind, if you need to get in touch with us, go through our website, which is www.afridominion.com. www.afridominion.com. Our main email is info@afridominion.com. info@afridominion.com. If you are nearby any of your mobile phone, especially the most of you guys are nowadays using cell phones, we also have a direct studio line that you can give us a call on, be it a regular cell phone, WhatsApp, or Telegram. We literally jam like that. So please also write down our phone number, which is +1 240 626 7268 +1 240 626 7268. And with that in mind, guys, what an exciting day to be here again. We thank the Lord for allowing us to wake up again. Today is Thursday, July 10th, and here at our studio we are 12:33. Apologies that we started just a little bit late because of some technical issues that we were sorting out. Nevertheless, we are here. Better be late than not showing up at all. So what are we talking about today, guys? Today we're talking about another one of those, I don't want to call it a scandalous situation, or I will figure out a way to put it mildly so that it doesn't offend any of you. But we're literally talking about divide and conquer. And the topic for today is why was only 5 West African presidents summoned at the White House this past Wednesday. So we have 5 nations, 5 West African nations president who are in Washington, D.C., meeting the Trump administration. And why was it only those 5 nations selected? That's just what the conversation is about. Many speculations, many speculations. Many people have talked about that. But again, guys, again, I am forever perplexed as to what Africans people do. Like literally, I don't understand, my brothers and sisters. The concept of divide and conquer, it's like it's still very foreign amongst our brothers and sisters. And I always wonder, why is it that only Africans, we experiencing that? Apologies. I was actually checking up those of you guys who said that I keep on forgetting about you. I am logged in today, guys. I'm there with you. And so the whole concept of divide and conquer. Africans, we have forever experienced the whole concept of divide and conquer, and up to this very day, it's still like dark. It's still like foreign. It's still like a language we do not understand. What am I referring to? Guys, take a look at what is happening in the United States as a great example. Foreigners are being kicked out of the country. They're making sure that they close out the entire United States against foreigners, especially those who do not have documentation. Even the ones who have documentation, you have to sing to the song of the United States today. If you do not have the same narrative, you are no good to the United States. The administration has never shied away to just speak plain now language. And anybody who do not understand, I don't know what it is that I can tell you guys. And because of that also, the administration has always been looking ways to make America great again. And with that in mind, we know that they've been targeting global nations with minerals, resources. Any way that the U.S. can have an advantage, it goes there. and it never shies away from from stating those facts. So we all know that Africa is one of the most wealthiest continent on planet Earth by far. Again, Africa as a continent is the biggest, wealthiest nation on planet Earth. And with that in mind, we know that when the colonizers sliced Africa in 1894, they all decided that, hey, this is my piece, this is my piece, this is my piece. And they literally sliced Africa into many, many small pieces so that they can help themselves as they please. But ever since slavery was outlawed, what was physical, what was so obvious then, had to change into another different form of, basically the system had to continue on a down low. What used to be physical shackles are no longer physical shackles, it's all mental. Bottom line, Africa is still in the hands of the colonizers. Africa is still in the hands of non-African people. Africa doesn't control itself. Guys, this is not racism whatsoever. This is just stating the facts. Which brings us to these 5 nations. From the very last time I checked, there is something they call African Union. Guys, have you ever seen African Union meeting for the purpose of discussing how are we going to collectively utilize our resources? How are we going to collectively sort out our own issues? How are we going to collectively develop ourselves? How are we going to collectively become a unified one nation instead of 54 nations? The United States is as strong as how it has managed to unify itself. Literally 50 nations, guys. They have managed to unify themselves for these past 249 years. And because of that, it is such a power-hungry nation globally. It's a powerful nation, but also power-hungry, because in order for you to find all the needs that you have, the United States itself, it just doesn't have what it needs from within its own borders. So consequently, it has to go outside of the United States. And when it goes outside of the United States, it goes shopping. Hence that whole divide and conquer. Right now, Africa is the most sexiest places to be, especially any of these nations with natural resources. So, as you can see, on the downside, the US kicks out everybody. By the way, let me also mention this because I believe it's worthy noting. Did you know that not one single African country can literally come to the United States on visa-free entrance? Did you guys know that? European nations can come as they please in the United States without the need of visa for up to a few months. Understand what I'm saying, guys? The entire Africa continent, not one single country can the citizens come to the United States visa-free, or at least 90 days visa-free. And you wonder why is it that the entire Africa, that is the sexiest continent on planet Earth, that is one location, one destination that every nation wants to be in, its own citizens are not allowed to come to some of the wealthiest nations like the United States, or some of the developed nations like the United States. Now, our small politicians, to put it mildly, they don't see none of that. I have never, not one time, ever heard of any of African president advocating for its nation to have a visa-free, a visa-free reciprocal as the United States or with the United States. In other words, I have never seen any bilateral or multilateral agreements between the United States and any of the African nations where they say, hey, by the way, since now we're good, since we're friends, since we can exchange goods and services, since we can trade, how about our people also visit one another? How about you literally allow our people to come through your country visa-free for 90 days, for 6 months, And how about you not having to pull up books to check fingerprints, to go look, people history for them to come to you, to your nation? Only Africa, guys. There's so many several countries in Europe, whereas they citizens know they do not have to go under any scrutiny. They go through mild scrutiny to come to the United States. Soon as they hit the airport, they get that visa. They basically allowed in for up to some of 90 days, 6 months, and so on. So why is it that Africa and African leaders cannot seek the interests of African people first and foremost? Fast forward to these 5 nations. Guys, do you know what are the 5 nations that have been invited to the United States this week? This past Wednesday, 5 countries. I call it summoning. They were summoned to the United States. Believe it or not, when the administration doesn't want you, it doesn't want you. And when they need you, they summon you. They summon you. So 5 countries came to the United States. So they were literally recently at the White House. And those countries are Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Senegal. Their presidents were here in Washington. They were in Washington at the White House. One of the things that I try to pay attention to see if there is any official you know how normally when countries have finished meeting, they pull out some sort of statement. They literally share what it is that they are going to be doing, whether there are any agreements and so on. We did see a live, we saw press talking to them, but I have yet to see a White House official, like the actual official invitation discussions showing, hey, what it is that they've discussed with these 5 countries. And when that happens, guys, it becomes something of perplexing. Why? Because first and foremost, when they came, nobody knew that they were coming. They usually months in advance, when it's something that that they want the people to know about, they will say, hey, there will be a summit. These nations will be here in Washington for the purpose of this and that and that and that. Not this time. All of a sudden, we knew that they were here. Now, if you also follow what is happening globally, you know that the United States is seeking minerals all over the planet Earth. They want to rebuild. The country wants to rebuild itself. Military, industrial, all the above. And any country that can give the United States what it wants, it takes a priority. And the administration has never shied away to publicly say that. And because of those reasons, guys, I always get to ask African president, when you get summoned to high places like the like the White House, what do you come with? Do you tell you people that you're coming there? Guys, actually, if you guys don't mind, can you pull those presidents on the screen so that people can know who was who? Because I literally want the people to get to know some of our presidents, African presidents who literally fall into the divide and conquer trap. And they look after themselves, so they look after their own nations instead of their whole entire Africa as a one people. Okay, so in front of us we see Bryce, the president of Gabon. He's one of them. He was here at the White House. And those of you guys who do not know Gabon, if you pull it up on the map, Gabon it's actually, I don't even think, Gabon seems like it's almost on the side of Central. I don't know how it ended up being a West African country, because those of you guys who know where Gabon is located on the African map, I didn't think it was West. It seems to me like it's a central nation, as one of those places that one of those nations, or one of those presidents who were invited at the White House. So we have Gabon, and we also have Guinea-Bissau. The Guinea-Bissau president was there. President Omaro was in Washington as well. And you also have the Mauritania, the president of Mauritania. He was also there. No, let's go to Liberia first, guys. The Liberian president. President of Liberia, Mr. Boakai, was also in Washington. And guys, by the way, something funny happened. And I don't know whether it was by mistake or not, but the president said, "Oh wow, you speak a really good English." Guys, Liberia and the United States have had a very deep history. For those of you guys who do not know, Liberia was where the slaves, the African American slaves, or the African slaves who were in America, those who wanted to go back to Africa, they set up shop in Liberia. Literally, so they not only speak English as the official language, they can speak a proper English, like the English in the United States. So it was funny when a comment was made where they say, "Oh wow, you speak a very good English." And guys, it sometimes it could be taken out. It could be taken negatively when someone speaks to you, and all of a sudden they're like, "Wow, you speak a very good English." And then you wonder, like, okay, what kind of English were you expecting exactly? I mean, in 2025 and beyond, you can learn languages. You can speak several languages. A lot of countries speak several languages. Here in the United States, it's only one language or two. And the majority of people are not interested in learning other languages. And it perplexes me as to why is it so strange that someone can speak a proper English. So, but Liberia itself literally was like a United States colony. The slaves were brought here. Those who wanted, the free men and women were brought to Liberia to literally create their lives after slavery was abolished. And it was shocking to me that the White House didn't know that there wasn't any sort of reference. They knew that nothing was brought to the president's attention right away. So when I heard, "Oh, you speak very good English," I was like, whoa. Which, in other words, everybody else who doesn't speak the U.S. The American English, is, and you can call it whatever you want to call it. Anyway, that's one of the things that I've noticed that took my attention. We also have the president of Mauritania. He was in the house as Mohammed Ghazouani. I hope I didn't butcher your name, Mr. President. And last but not least, we also have our brother, the Senegalese president. This brother, Mr. Faye. He was also here in the United States. Now, this brother, he's like our generation brother. I don't know. And I know that nations have secrets and all of that. But guys, Senegal, out of all the country, I know Macky Sall was the manager, was the supervisor of the United States. But I did not know that, that President Faye also would fall in the same steps. So it kind of shocked me, to be honest with you. It literally shocked me to see President Faye being summoned to the White House, and he still came. There are some presidents that I know that they would literally come, like the Gabon. The Gabon President Bryce, I know that brother will come because we know about what is happening there. But for the Senegalese president, that shocked me. But then again, we should never be shocked in this day and age. When you get muscled, when you get summoned, when you get targeted, oftentimes you fend for yourself. And to a certain degree, I sense or I believe that that's what is happening here. Which is where I'm now a little bit of upset with the rest of these African presidents. Guys, either you don't talk to one another or you don't believe in unity. There's nowhere they are going to corner you, brothers and sisters, other leaders, you colleagues, and you guys don't give them any advice. How will Africa become a free continent if divide and conquer still lingers every day? Divide and conquer is such a systematic structure that has been in Africa for so many years, since 1884. And that still continues today. And when you're looking at it in 2025, you usually, for me, it makes me wonder what good is being a politician, an African politician. You are not an island. You're supposed to be a continent with unity, but there is no unity. And anyway, unity even comes at even a little drop of it, oftentimes is destroyed. Other nations, non-African nations, continuously take advantage of Africa as a continent. And they also cherry pick the weakest of the nations. And then they bring you on a table, they feed you up, they fatten you up, and then after that they usually say, hey, so what about those golds? Hey, so hey, what about those diamonds? And so what about the ore? And so what about the petroleum? Which brings me down to what these countries share in common. Guys, it is not an accident that these 5 very specific nations were selected. If you see the kind of wealth that they have, and when you see what the administration is seeking for, it is very much in alignment. I'll get right on point because I want to make sure that you guys, if you do your homework, you can also see what I see. For those of you who are not aware, let's actually just go technical a little bit. I did a little research, guys. And you would never find out, you would never know unless you look for it. But the 5 countries, Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, Senegal, do you guys know, first and foremost, what they have in common? The most obvious, they're all coastal nations. If you look on the African map, actually, can we put the African map, guys? Any map that doesn't have any copyright, so we can maybe just use it as we go. Let me see if I can find a map. Help me, guys. Also, guys, help me. Open map. Guys, it's good that we get to know these things, man, because we are literally being eaten alive. Okay, I think we can use open map, right? Yeah, okay. It looks a little bit messy. It won't show what I want you guys to see the way I want you to see it because it has too many details. Okay, never mind, guys. If you pull up the African map, okay, as is, and once you pull it up, and you literally check these 5 countries that were invited here, they all coastal nations, meaning they have a direct access to the sea. In other words, strategically speaking, the United States can dock to any of these countries right away using the Navy, the U.S. Navy. Okay, they can come in and out with little resistance because of the water. By the way, if you know, the United States has one of the most powerful navy. The navy is built. So for the purpose of controlling the entire West Africa, minding you, we also have AFRICOM, the U.S. African Command Center. So when the administration is seeking for its minerals, it's cherry picking the weakest of the weakest. Or it's seeking at least some of the countries that they already have some sort of relationship with. Remember, AFRICOM, it's one of the U.S. military wing that literally polices the entire Africa. Under the disguise of, hey, we're helping you security, we're helping you to get rid of your terrorism issues and so on. But we know better, guys. We know better. Remember, modern slavery and modern control only changed the name. The tactics never changed. Tell me any African country, military, that is anywhere nearby the United States. Tell me any African country that has base within the United States. Tell me any African nations that have physical base in the United States. That's too far-fetched. Any African nations that has its navy surrounding the United States. It's zero. Only Africa as a continent and African nations, they have foreign bases within their own countries. And you know those foreign bases are not there for your interest. They're there for their own interest first and foremost. And strategically speaking, countries like the United States, not only they're policing the entire world, but they're also looking for the interests of their own before they look after the interests for you. You may ask something, they will give it to you, but rest assured they're not coming empty-handed. They're not coming back in Washington empty-handed. And so, brothers and sisters, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. There is a geopolitical game that is so far up. And unfortunately, as Africans, we are barely taught this game. The leaders, they come in here and they get these invitations and they're like, I'm going to the White House, I'm going to the White House. They doing the dance, they're doing the dance. Just like what just happened between Rwanda and the DRC a few days back. That was not an accident either. That was them two countries being summoned in Washington. They were like, hey, by the way, guys, enough is not as of today. We want peace there. Literally, you get to be told what to do. And you comply. And then we call ourselves independent countries. How independent are you when you can be summoned overnight and you show up in Washington and you show up in Élysée? You show up in France. You show up in Moscow. Guys, these are some very, very, very concerning observations that we see every single day. Going back to the common themes, what these nations share in common. So remember, the first and foremost, they're all on the coastal line, which means easy access. By the way, this is my analysis, but there's been more than that, okay? So here, the U.S. can duck in and out. They can literally exchange resources as they please. Remember, right now, the United States is seeking a whole lot of resources, especially resources like like gold, crude oil. They looking for all kinds of rare earth minerals and stuff. They always speak up. They always publicly say, hey, if you have some rare earth minerals, we're good for you. We'll be best friends. Let's make a deal. Let's make a deal. Look what just happened with Ukraine. Rare earth. The United States is there because it's seeking its own interest there. By the way, there is nothing wrong with seeking your own interest. I just also want to put a disclaimer there. There's nothing wrong. If I come in and we sit down on the table, we make a deal, and my deals becomes better than yours, tough luck. Because they say that this is democracy after all. May the best guy win. Isn't that what they say? But how do you sit down with a child and make a deal with a child? A child who's not only ignorant, but has very little understanding of what it is that you are doing. That's personally how I see African nations, these leaders. Just because you're a president, you put in a nice suit and you look amazing, it doesn't mean that you are informed with the world. Especially when you have been given these powers, but then in the back they tell you, by the way, you only jump when we say you jump. You go left when we say you go left. You go right when we say we go, you go right. Because we own you. We have had all these bilateral agreements for 50, 60, 70 years. And these are binding. Imagine, African countries have a lot of these agreements with foreign nations that go back to the times when they were being sliced. And they say that these agreements are binding. And these agreements, some of them are secret agreements. How do you represent the people and you sign a secret agreement with another government? You represent a nation, you go on and you sign a secret agreement with another nation, and you people don't know about it. Or they call it top secret agreements. And I'm like, who are you killing here? Who are you specifically representing? If you go and I send you as my representative, and you go somewhere upstairs and you make a deal, and you tell me that it's a top secret agreement, what the heck? So Africa has been falling through these traps several times. And these new leaders are now different, which is why I always call them managers and supervisors. When the CEO calls the supervisor is usually so happy that he's going to the principal's office. Remember, a supervisor is beneath a manager. So when you get noticed by the CEO, you feel like, man, I must be doing a great job. African presidents, I feel like they just like supervisor waiting to be seen so that they can feel a little bit more important. And they never realize that the jobs that they have to represent the people, to look after the interests of the people first and foremost and for their countries, is such a job that requires a direct confrontation with some of these nations. If you're truly looking for the interests of the people, you are going to literally look for something that oftentimes brings conflict. Now, that's not to say you are going to fight, but because the other country is also looking for its own interests. Why is it that right now the Gabon people are still being deported? They don't have any free visa to come to the United States, for example. The Guinea-Bissau citizens are getting also deported. No free rain check at all. And so are the Liberians. The visa overstays. It was mentioned that, hey, Liberians are very problematic. They've been overstaying their visa. Yet, when the US or when the Chinese, when the French, when all these other countries are coming through, they don't think that nothing like that, because what you have is far more important than these little visa issues. And the people can still come to your country easy. You make it easy for the citizens to come. But your own citizens are never allowed to come in easily. Something is wrong with this picture, guys. We have to have a balance. And I will put it to you, brothers and sisters, African sons and daughters. You all need to wake up. You literally have to wake up, because the game that is played on our behalf, it's like chess, and we're playing checkers. If you're playing checker and they sit you with a chess player, you know you're being taken advantage of, and there ought to be someone who can publicly say, hey, no, this is not a fair fight. You're playing chess, but this child, you literally making him think that it's checker. So Africa still gets to be taken advantage of in 2025, the same way it was getting taken advantage of 60, 70, 100 years ago. What has changed? Just the faces of the leaders sitting in these chairs. And I wonder, why is it that we allow that to continue? Back and forth, guys. Africans, I'm asking you, why is it that we're allowing this thing to continue? I mean, we could be ignorant, fine. But in 2025, when someone tells you, hey, by the way, I don't need you, I don't want you in my nation. I will only give you an invitation when I see fit. Why can you not reciprocate? Why can't you not reciprocate, Africa? If someone can boldly say, hey, as of today, get out of my country. I don't need you anymore. You have overstayed your visa. Just get out, period. Can you reassess the relationships that you have from A to Z? Not just cherry picking this and that and that and that. Africa, we can still stand without a lot of these other nations pretending to help African people, but taking advantage in the backdrop. And when I see this, it infuriates me, because it makes us all look like we're dumb, like we don't follow. Especially those of you in the diaspora. You see what is happening, but You keep your head very, very, very low as much as possible. You make sure that you don't bust no bubble. You don't bother nobody. You mind your business. But these are your cousins. These are your extended family members. These are your countries of origin being taken advantage of. Just because you happen to be in the United States doesn't mean that you gotta just keep your head down like a slave. Which is why I also keep on saying this is modern slavery. They used to say, be seen but not heard. They want to see you, but they don't want to hear anything that you have to say. Guys, this is literally not okay in 2025 and below. I am very interested to know the kind of deals that these 5 countries have made. I was just telling you guys that there's so much minerals. Let me take a list so that you guys know what's going on. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Gabon. In Gabon, you know what they have? The major source of wealth in Gabon, they have crude oil. About 50% of GDP in Gabon. About 50%. It's all about oil. We know the United States needs oil. It's looking for oil. And oftentimes they want to use other people's stuff before they use their own. No offense. We know that that's true. There's timber. There's manganese. But oil dominates in Gabon. And the US want a piece of that. In Guinea-Bissau, we have cashew nuts. 70 to 80% of export. It's all in cashew export. And we know the United States wants that. Also fisheries, seafood, those beautiful seafood. We consume seafood in the United States. The fresher, the better. And the organic kind of seafood. We want that. If you get a better deal, why not? It simply reinforces the economy here in the United States. In Liberia, they have rubber, they have iron ore, they have gold, they have timber, and they also do have quite a lot of good agriculture base there, all of which the United States needs. In Mauritania, they also have iron ore, between 40 to 50%, guys. And we know United States has been seeking for iron ore in all these countries. Rare earth, because it's needed for the industrialization to continue. They have gold also in Mauritania, and of course livestock. The mining is big there. The mining is big. And the United States never shies away to say that it needs gold. It needs a lot of these minerals. In Senegal, you have plenty of fish, seafood. They export up to 30%. Imagine. Yet we get to hear that we have some people who are hungry in Senegal. Not just Senegal alone, but in Africa. In Africa in general, they also have phosphate. They also have gold, and they have some peanuts and millet, and of course they also have tourism. So remember, on the border of the ocean, easy access. Trading will be very easy. Resources can come in and out easy, but also what never had been mentioned, the military control, guys. What other ways to police a lot of these region than to have easy and free access to military? Right now, Russia and China are infiltrating Africa. They literally are digging to have roots in Africa for strategic and geopolitical reasons. And the United States is no dumb. It's looking and say, hey, okay, so you're there. I need to make sure that I check you. After all, you are landing in the most wealthiest continent on planet Earth. So I want a piece of that too. Just like back in the days, in the slavery time, in the physical slavery time, Every other Western nation looked at Africa as just like a free to grab land with all kinds of resources. Never asked for permission. They just came in and took what they needed. Today, they still come in and take what they want, using a lot of the new tactics to make it seem like you are being given or you are being done a favor. And we know that that is false. And so, because of these guys, I literally want to warn you, young people. If you find it difficult to come to the United States, tell your president, hey, you're making these back-end deals with the United States, with France, with UK, with Russia, with China. What about us, the people? And any of these deals that you are making in the best interest of our nation, first and foremost, or they are just the best deal for you personally, or for you as a small group. Failing to literally ask that publicly, I think it's a disservice to African people. But it's also a disservice to the African unity. We can never be unified if we can be cherry-picked at any given time. If we can find ourselves being summoned to Elysee, to the White House at any given time. If Chinese can summon you, a Russian summons you, and you go right there, and you don't tell the people your business of being there, then who are you working for at the end of the day? Hence, modern slavery. These supervisors and these managers, when they go to the chairman, when they go to the CEO, they forget that they were representing their own people. And that's my beef with a lot of you guys, a lot of you leaders, African leaders. You have forgotten whom you're supposed to be serving, but we also know that most of you took power by force. You took power by the help of these Western nations. And because you owe them a debt of gratitude, you dance to the music that they play at any given time. Which is where now African sons and daughters, you also you have to be openly checking what is happening. Because at the end of the day, this is your life, this is my life. Guys, imagine between now and the next time a new president arrives in the United States, how many of you will still be in the United States? With or without papers. Those of you who are undocumented, you took the first flight. Those of you with valid visas, you're also being chased away, especially if you happen to get out, of the country, it may be very difficult for you to come back. Those of you with permanent resident in the same bucket, you used to be safe. But now, depending on the nature of you going outside of the United States, you may not be allowed to be back in. Be aware, because these things are being spoken publicly. And most of you are afraid to make a comment about it. Most of you are afraid to challenge and say, hey, what's going on here? After all, I waited for 5 years, for 10 years to get a visa to come to the United States. And now you're telling me I can never go visit my grandma who's sick. I can never go see my cousin that I haven't seen in 11 years. These are some very concerning real life scenario problems, guys. In Africa, you have to wake up. Remember, the numbers of Africans who are in the United States legally are so small compared to the rest of compared to the rest of the globe, the global community. Africa has some of the lowest numbers of people, of citizens who come to the United States. If you're not adding any value to the United States in one form or the other, you don't just come to the United States. In other words, the US is looking for the bright of the brightest. They're looking for those who can actually advance the country, not take away from it. If you're poor, hungry, and completely uneducated, you're more likely not going to be able to get to the United States. Because first and foremost, how are you going to live in this country that is so expensive? They will look at you and see welfare. You're going to be the burden of the US. They don't want that. Even if you can manage to have these low-end jobs, Somebody's gonna be say, hey, they taking our jobs. The world is becoming so ugly like that, guys. So, brothers and sisters, African brothers and sisters, you gotta wake up. We have to wake up. When countries are making moves over the control of the resources, African resources, minerals, and so on, and we look at it and we are so quiet about it, or we mind our business because we believe that's the job of these politicians. And if these politicians are in the pockets of these nations, who's going to check him? Who is going to check him? So again, I would wish that these 5 countries, among so many African nations, that they publicly tell the people their business here in the United States at the White House. They publicly say, hey, this is what we went there for. This is what we brought for you guys as an added value to our nations. If they went there to dance to the music that was already being played by the DJ at the White House, that's not okay. Because most of these African leaders are simply dancing to the music that's being played. They don't have a saying in the music, in the song that gets to be played. They just dance to the music. Whatever music that's being played, that's what they do. That's not leadership, guys. That's not leadership. That's slavery. That's modern slavery. Which is why I was a bit hurt and a bit disappointed that our brother Fayu is there. Because he was democratically elected, and so we are told. He's young, he understands the global chess. Yet, when he got summoned, he also got muscled. He just couldn't come by, he just didn't come. Because, he's the people's president. But to see him also coming at a glimpse of a blink of an eye, it was very, very much something hard to digest, to see. So, guys, without really talking too much, because this song is very old, I just want to ask of you, especially the diasporan community, are there ways to protect our brothers and sisters? Are there ways to maybe also seek the interests of our brothers and sisters? Are there ways we can ask that, hey, the same way other nations can come in and out of the United States, let's figure out a way Africa could be open. When they talk about terrorism, right, in Africa, that, hey, Africa has so many wars. These wars are not actually starting in Africa. These wars are literally created outside of Africa and brought in Africa. If you must know, Africa does not create weapons. They all receive weapons from the outside. Few countries right now are trying to manufacture weapons, but through third-party companies. In other words, they come in and they set up shop in your country. They say, hey, we're creating weapons. For example, like in Rwanda, just a few weeks back, they were showing that they are manufacturing weapons. But what you did not hear, this is not the expertise of Rwandese people. These are multi-billion-dollar corporations from outside of Rwanda setting shop in Rwanda because it's cheap labor. Because they can have a free access right next door to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The raw material that's needed can easily be acquired quietly in Rwanda. Because this is not a Rwandese, these companies are not Rwandese companies. They may be registered in Rwanda. They may even have Rwandese CEO. But the expertise belongs outside, and it's never shared with the Rwandese citizens. So we must not literally be taken astray, guys. If you do not have your own expertise to create your own machinery, your own industrialization, and you're relying on the foreigners to come in and set up shop of their own machinery, and they say, hey, now you can use this, but you have no idea how these machineries are working, the joke is on you. What happens if you no longer have a good relationship with these foreign nations? They will take every single tool, every single expertise, every single knowledge that was in your country. They will take it back because you don't have access to it from, first and foremost. So I encourage us Africans, especially Africans in the diaspora, we have to set up our own shops. We have to set up our own infrastructure. The infrastructure that we control 100%. The infrastructure that we do not have to feel like we are going to lose if we are no longer friends with any of these Western nations. If you have the raw material, why is it that you cannot progress and actually make product out of it, create services, create jobs for the people? And last but not the least, do not be policed on what you can and cannot do in your own country. Because that is what is happening right now in Africa, with the exception of 3 or 4 countries. And three or four of these countries have been also literally closed off from the rest of the African nations, which is crazy. I don't understand that. The rest of these countries, they are open nations. They can do as they please. However, they're dancing to the music that has been pre-cued for them. And this is modern slavery, guys. This is what I call modern slavery. So with that in mind, guys, I know I'm not hating you, the Gabonese people. I'm not hating you. I'm not hating on your president. The Guinea-Bissau, I love you, my peoples. The Liberian, you are my people. The Mauritanians, you are my people. The Senegalese people, I love you guys. But you all need to wake up and smell the coffee. These special invitations that haven't been given to the whole entire Western Africa as like, hey, this is a gesture, like, now the US is open for business to the whole entire Western country. Get to ask why. For example, why is it that Nigeria wasn't invited? The biggest economy in the West Africa. Why is it that it wasn't invited? And by the way, no Nigerian has sent me. I am just simply stating the facts. Nigeria, Ghana, they were not invited. Do you know that Ghana also has access to the coast? But they're not just gonna come. Ghana won't just come in because you're snapping your finger. Nigeria isn't just going to come because you're snapping your finger. Guys, get to think, man. Get to think and ask, why is it that not all Western nations were invited? The answer is in the pudding, guys, and it's in front of you. Well, that's it for me, guys. That's it for me. Let me prepare so we can be out of here. I am so grateful for the opportunity that we have gotten to speak with you guys. By the way, we are encouraged to think and to literally exchange ideas. So that's why here at AfriDominion, when we talk, guys. When we speak, we speak. We speak our mind as is, not in the form of disrespect, but in the form of having an honest conversation. We are hosted. We have been adopted here in the United States. We have been given the ability and the right to speak freely. As I speak, I'm in the United States. When I speak critically, when I question certain things publicly, that's because it's a privilege that's been given to me. But this privilege, somehow, it seems like, is an exclusive privilege for the few. This is supposed to be a privilege for all the sons and daughters. Especially here, since we're talking about Africans, every sons and daughters within Africa, you should have the privilege to freely express yourself. To be a free man and women. To question what you see isn't serving you best interest. To question the leaders, the policies, to question these agreements left and right, and make sure that you are honest at the end of the day. Fight the cause that you believe in. Fight against those who wish you harm, those who want to destroy your nations, those who want to destroy your culture, those who want to destroy your generations. Because you should never support any policies, any laws and regulations that actually set you back as a people. And right now, Africa needs to become one nation. We don't need to be sliced into more and more countries. We need to become one nation and literally collapse these colonial borders that we have been given in 1894. We still live on the policies from back in 1894, guys. Think about that. We still live under the policies set up back in 1894 and beyond. And we call ourselves free men and women. I don't think so. Anyway, guys, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be here. Those of you who have comment, I invite you to literally have a comment. Guys, can you pull up our number so that those who do not have our number can have the contact of our studio. Guys, I'm on WhatsApp, I'm on Telegram, and we also on email and website. Those of you who just joined the program as we are wrapping it up, please give us a call if you can. Shoot us a message if you can. Telegram us or WhatsApp us. We will be more than happy to really oblige and have a conversation with you. And our number is +1 240 626 7268. +1 240 626 7268. Our main email is info@AfriDominion.com. info@AfriDominion.com. With that, guys, in mind, allow me to say goodbye, as the time is not on our side right now, and we have so many other programs that we have to go to. But I want to wish you guys a beautiful day. Those nations, Senegal, Mauritania, Liberia, Guinea-Bissau, Gabon, guys, check out what the presidents are doing here while you are in Washington. Get to ask him what has happened there and what it is that they're taking back at home with them. Don't just accept the fact that they came to visit the White House empty-handed. Don't also accept that they came back home empty-handed. But also, African collectively, we need to get together and sort out this thing where they are cherry picking one of each, giving us peanuts when we own the whole entire kitchen. That's all for me, guys. I'm Freeman Singirankabo here at AfriDominion. Have yourself a beautiful day. If you're on our time schedule in the US, have a good evening if you're going to bed, and have a beautiful morning, guys, if you're just waking up. Until I see you again, so long for now.